Whew, child. Okay. See, I knew. No. Make it make sense. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. The topic of today's video, it's about I don't have a topic name. It's about parents who just like suck, I guess. I'll just call it that. There's two stories. They both have updates. All of the information will be included in the description. So let's go ahead and get into the stories that we have for today. The first one is, am I the a-hole for not telling my parents that I received money from college? Now, this is old. This is like 5 months ago. The first post was posted on May 14th, 2023. So you may have heard it before. It says, I, 20-year non-binary, live with my parents, 50-something, and my two sisters, 20-year and 19-year. For as long as I can remember, my parents have had financial difficulties. For the past 4 months, I have paid the entirety of my parents' rent. While I don't really make that much, I work 50 hours a week, most weeks due to understaffing, so I get a pretty good size paycheck. Wait a minute. Why are they paying the entirety of the parents' rent? Do the parents just not work at all? Were they not able to for the past 4 months? I could see, given the age, they are 20 years old and they still live at home, I could see it being fair if they paid a percentage, but to be paying the entire rent and there's 4 other adults that live in the house, that doesn't seem fair. So they say, plus most of the time I am able to set aside some money for saving. However, these past months, every one of my dad's paychecks, he makes the most money out of all of us, have been garnished or been completely gone before he ever gets them. I have the misfortune of getting paid the exact same days as him, so the majority of my paychecks and all my savings have gone to paying for bills. Okay, I don't know. I would need to see what these garnishments were. And is the mom not working? Is it just the dad and the 20-year-old working? Nah, because there's another 20-year-old in the house and a 19-year-old. Nah, this is not fair. They say 2 weeks ago, my dad didn't get his paycheck and I ended up overdrawing my bank account $1,000. It was an accident as I had forgotten about a payment that I had made that had yet to show up. So when I got my paycheck on Friday, it was just $100, which my dad immediately asked for $80 of. I had told my parents I would be unable to help financially for the next 2 weeks. And again, my dad didn't get his check, so my parents are scrambling to get money together to avoid our utilities being cut off. My college does this thing, I don't know if every college does this or not, where you pay the full amount of your tuition, and then at the end of the semester, you get the amount of scholarships and financial aid paid to you. There's a deadline to get the money. However, they hold it for you if you miss it. The most of the 2 years I have been going there, I have forgotten to do that, so the money has been sitting around. I had missed the December deadline for the fall semester, but I got a jump on spring knowing that I would forget, and it is my last year at that college because I'm transferring to another one. I promptly forgot about it. Well, on Friday, I received an email from the bank system my college uses that I will be receiving the money. I had shrugged it off because most of the time I receive my money from that kind of stuff really late. So while the email did say 1 to 2 business days, I was thinking it would be in June. So imagine my surprise when I see that day it was in my account. Also considering that it had just been sitting there for 2 years, it is a fair amount. I am by no means rich or anything, but it was certainly more than I had been expecting. I paid a bill that I just haven't been able to, and the majority is just sitting in my bank account. It's been 2 days and I haven't mentioned anything about the money. My parents never even knew I was getting money from my college due to my forgetfulness. I know that this money could help make sure that none of our utilities are cut off, but I can't seem to bring myself to tell them. I'm moving out soon, so this money could go towards giving me some breathing room or go to my classes this summer, so I really want to save it and not say anything. Just let my parents assume that I only have $20 to my name. However, if the utilities get cut off, then I will be affected as well. I feel like such an a-hole for not telling my parents about the money. I know that I'm just being selfish, but I'm so tired of every penny I make going towards my family's bill. I know my mom feels extremely guilty every time they do this, but it is something they have to do to survive. So, am I the a-hole? Okay. I need more details. And I think there's an edit that they add that does add details, but I have a lot of questions. Why are they the only ones paying the entirety of the rent? I understand that the father's wages are getting garnished, but is the mom not working? Is the 20-year-old not working? Is the 19-year-old not working? Why is this 20-year-old the only one paying the majority of the bills in the house? Is there a situation where the dad can get his paycheck put into the mom's account so it doesn't get garnished? But I don't know. It probably still would get garnished because that's just how the IRS works. Or I don't know why it's getting garnished, if it's child support, whatever. This situation just doesn't seem fair to me. And having it all be on OP to take care of the family, that doesn't seem fair to me. As a parent, I mean, barring like a disability or something like that, I don't know. I just feel like I would be doing everything in my power to bring in the income so my child wouldn't have to be taking care of me fully. Again, I do think it would be fair for them to be doing a percentage as a adult living in the house, but the whole rent, and now their bank account is being overdrafted because of this? What? Anyway, so there's an edit. Since a lot of people are asking, here you go. My parents have a lot of payday loans from my childhood, other loans, and owe money to the state and IRS. My dad had, at one point, been accused of a gambling addiction. It runs in his family, and he had at one point had one. However, my parents have talked this out. My dad's company also has crappy communication, so we have no way of knowing when he is garnished and why until he gets paid. See, something is not sounding right here. They say everyone does work, but me and my dad make the most money. My mom works a minimum wage job. My sisters work part-time minimum wage jobs. My mom and 20-year-old sister do help pay bills. My little sister, however, does not. She is the type that has a little bit of money and goes wild. My parents pay for a lot of her stuff without ever seeing a dime for it. My parents are trying to stop that. However, it is extremely difficult due to other factors that I will not get into on this post, as it has nothing to do with money. The reason I make a lot of money is because I'm a lifeguard, and due to the lack of them, we are paid intensively. As many of you have suggested, I am moving out. I am moving to a different city this summer for classes. I honestly don't think I need to go to such extremes as some of you suggested. My bank account is separate from theirs. We do use the same bank though. My parents do not try to sneakily get my money, and the few times my dad has, I have called him out and berated him over it. My mom also feels extremely guilty about the entire situation, and as such, I don't see her doing anything underhanded, and with my dad, I have strict guidelines with him. I do have a ton of notifications on for both my credit card and bank account to the point of $1 getting spent, I will know. Also, no, I will not be getting back the money that I have given to my parents. I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to be another thing that they have to pay off. However, some of your suggestions I will follow. My parents are aware, and I will remind them when I leave that I will not be able to pay things when I leave, as I will be reducing my hours at work and having my own bills to pay, such as school and the apartment. Okay, so it's making more sense to me. And it sounds to me that this is a situation that they have gotten themselves in. I would have more sympathy if there were extenuating circumstances, if, tragedy befalled them, but it sounds like lack of self-control, lack of money management, gambling, poor spending habits have gotten them in this situation. And so I don't have any sympathy. And I do find it a little odd that the father doesn't know. They're saying the father doesn't know when he's getting garnished until he gets paid, that doesn't sound right. Because garnishments are usually a set amount every single check. From what I know of garnishments to be, it's just you say you have a $500 garnishment every month. Every month, that $500 is getting taken out. That's what I know. So it sounds to me like maybe he still does have a gambling addiction. Maybe he's taking some of that money off the top and going over to the casino and saying that, it's possible that there is a garnishment. And it's also possible that part of that garnishment, quote unquote, is him gambling. And so then he's left with the little amount that he's left with and relying on OP. Nah, I would need to see bank statements, accounts, garnishment amount. This is not making any sense. Some relevant comments. Someone said, not the a-hole. You are technically paying for school yourself, right? The student loans and scholarships are all in your name, so that money is yours. Put it into savings. Use it to buy textbooks next semester. If it's money left over from your student loans, you'll technically have to pay it back when you start paying back your loans, so might as well use it as you please. I received money back from college for a few semesters, like $600 a semester, but at that time, my parents paid for my tuition, only $1,500 a semester because it was community college. So I just paid them back that money since it was theirs anyway. But when I started paying for myself, I kept that money for myself. OP responded, I pay for college out of pocket. I don't have student loans and no one else has paid for my tuition, so it is absolutely my money. Oh yeah, I would definitely keep it. I would not tell anybody that I have that money because it shouldn't even factor. It's been I just can't get over it. It's been 4 months of this person. It does not compute. Maybe I'm missing something, but things like this, I just cannot feel sympathy for because I've been broke. I've had a point in my life where I had no car. I was asking for rides all the time or taking public transit. Once I saved up a little bit of money, got a ride, asked somebody to take me to Walmart to get a bike so that I could bike to my job whenever the bus was running late or something like that. And then I had 2 minimum wage jobs at the mall. I literally would work from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mall jobs have like weird hours. And then I would have my clothes in my purse, change in the bathroom of my first job, walk literally down the corridor to my second job, work 2 to 8. Making, $7.25 or whatever at the time, eventually got bumped up to $8.50 at one job. And then I went from there. But I just don't get it. 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 I will always, not to mention, on top of that, I had learned how to do hair from an early age off of YouTube because I refused to pay. Like, my mom didn't pay for my hair to get done once I was like in high school years and stuff. I paid for somebody to do my braids one time when I was in high school, and it was like $300 of my babysitting money or something. I was like, never again. Like, from here on out, I'm finna save that $300. Learned to do hair, so when I was in my college years, I was doing hair in my living room for extra money. So I don't know. If I had children on top of that, I just don't see myself letting my child pay the rent for 4 months on end. And what else? I have more questions. I feel like I need to sit in their house and question them because there could be there's different things. Like, maybe it's a timing thing. Maybe it's, there could be other reasons, but just from the outside looking in, from the information I have here, it just doesn't make sense to me how they're allowing this to happen. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, well, so there was an update posted 13 days later. It says, would I be the a-hole for going no contact with my dad and technically being responsible for my parents' divorce? So I, 20 non-binary, live with my parents and 2 sisters for now. I am moving out next month. So my dad decided to play a joke on me. He took my card and took out 90% of the money out of my checking account. For those wondering about the college money I got from a previous post, it is in another savings account. that is through another institution, so it is safe. He then put my card back in its original position and went to work. He did all of this around midnight. What? This man has a gambling problem. You can't tell me that this man don't have a he is actively gambling. You can't tell me that he's not. They say, so I woke up in the morning to most of my money being gone. My first thought was that my dad took my card without asking, but my card was still in my wallet and where I left it. I had thought that someone had cloned my card and guessed my PIN. I sent off a quick text to my mom and called my bank. I spent a while doing that. I was so anxious, I was practically sobbing, and I'm not a person that really cries. That money was my deposit and rent for June. I then went into the living room and heard my mom arguing. I couldn't hear much, but I heard my mom exclaim, "What made you think it was a good idea?" Instantly, dread filled me. I walked to my parents' room. My mom was arguing with my dad on the phone. According to my dad, he found our cat playing with my card. He decided to take it and remove my money to teach me a lesson about leaving my card lying around and then go to work. Oh my goodness. My dad apologized to me and I just handed the phone back to my mom and stormed out of the room. My dad had pulled something like this on me before, except he took all of my money and then quote unquote lost it. My dad claimed that he took the money to teach me a lesson for leaving my card around my family. Later on, he told me in private that he took it because he knew I was lying about the amount of money I had. What? I'm sorry. What the do that got to do with you, sir? What does that have to do with you? Respectfully, the amount of money that I have. You need to be focused on the amount of money that you have with the family that you're not able to provide for. So OP continues, I had been saving that money for a medical thing, so I was hiding it because my family is always in a state of financial distress, and he would ask for it if he knew that I had it and I was just done being in constant pain. Anyway, there were clear flaws in the story he told us. First, that I had my card and it was in my wallet where I left it. That was a whole separate trip from going to work. Also, neither my wallet or my card have any sign of damage. My dad works out of the city, which is a 1.5 car ride from where we live. My mom said that she will drive me to my dad's work where we will pick up the money. We don't trust him to have it until he's done with work due to what happened last time. He protested, saying that will use too much gas and that he will drive down instead and that will use the same amount of gas. This ultimately leads to my mom practically having the confirmation that he has started gambling again. Thank you. Thank you. There was no other explanation. He'd been gambling. It's not that he started again. He'd been gambling. That's why you guys have been struggling. He probably doesn't even have a garnishment. He garnishing his own checks. Opie says, my dad had a gambling addiction when I was younger, but he got help for it and had been clean for a while. And then they continue, as in her mind, why else would he be so adamant that we not go to his work? He came home and returned all the money to me. Yes, I counted over and over again to make sure. He apologized and said nothing. My mom said that he didn't sound sincere. My dad blew up on her, saying that he had apologized over the phone and that he was obviously sorry about what happened. He later on apologized to me about that, but I ignored it and he doesn't seem to be talking to my mom. My mom has told me she is going to talk to a lawyer and she is absolutely torn up about this. There have been so many issues with their relationship this past year, but this seemed to be the straw that broke the camel's back to leave her 40-year marriage to my dad. Dang, so they've been together since they was basically teenagers. My sisters don't know what's going on, or if they do, not the whole situation. I told her that once I move out, that I might go no contact with him. My mom got all sad and says she doesn't blame me for wanting to after all that my dad put me through. I'm honestly emotionally drained and dreading calling back my bank. My mom had this great weekend plan for us, but now there is an overwhelming feeling of dread and tension over everything. I was actually going to finally do something for myself that I had finally worked up the nerve to ask my mom about, but that had to be canceled. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm moving out soon, I would have called my friend and moved out today. I'm just done with my dad and this situation. At the same time, I feel such an overwhelming guilt. I know that I did the right thing, that I had to tell my mom and protect myself financially, but I don't know. I feel responsible for my parents separating, and me and my mom are the only ones that know that, even though my dad made his choice. The fact that I love my dad and I still want a close relationship with him like I never had, yet I can't imagine ever talking to him after he put me through all of this. I also feel like I'm too emotional and hasty to make these decisions as all of this happened today. Maybe I just need confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. So, would I be the a-hole? And someone said, not the a-hole, your dad stole from you, change your PIN number and passwords on everything. And OP responded, oh, absolutely. I reached out to my bank thinking that someone copied my card before I found out it was my dad. I'm getting a new PIN, new card, and account information. Everything is being changed. Update 2, this was 15 days later. They said, I know it's been 2 weeks since my last post, but a lot has happened since then. My parents are getting a divorce. I have mixed feelings about this. My mom has started to track my dad. I know, invasion of privacy, but it was the only way to know for sure. Multiple times, the tracker has put him at a casino when he claims he's working. Obviously, it was so obvious from the beginning what was going on here. That's why I didn't feel I feel for the family being affected, but as far as like from the father's point of view, needing help paying the bills, I had no sympathy for him because you're putting yourself in this situation. So they continue, my mom has figured that he has been getting his paycheck 2 days early and not telling anyone. My mom called a lawyer last Wednesday to talk about her next move. My dad isn't fighting it, which is honestly destroying my mom. Yesterday, we got an eviction notice that we have to be out by the end of the month. So was he not even paying? Whoo, child. Was he not even paying the rent while OP was giving him the money? So he was gambling away all the money. Had OP overdrafting their account to help keep the family afloat. Oh my goodness. They say yesterday we got an eviction notice that we have to be out by the end of the month. This has happened before, but my dad has always explained it away. Apparently, my dad, haven't paid the rent in 4 months. My dad hasn't said anything about this. He now knows we are all seeing through him and his act. My mom and younger sister are going to live with my maternal grandparents. Me and my other sister are moving out to our own apartment at the end of the week. This makes me extremely angry because my parents got the money from me to pay for the rent. Instead, it was going to my dad's gambling. I did a calculation for how much I gave them this year, and I am horrified. It is over $10,000. All my savings for college, so many of my paychecks that I have given up to help my family has actually gone to my dad's gambling addiction. I'm sorry, I knew it. That's why I feel like I might have come off cold and callous at the beginning, questioning why the dad isn't taking care of his own family, but I knew that there had to be a reason. Opie says, I feel so used and like a fool. I feel so betrayed. My mom has told me that she doesn't want me to go no contact with my dad. She wants to hold family dinners once everything has settled down and she has a place, and she is going to invite my dad. My mom still loves my dad and keeps saying that he is sick. I know this. I know he isn't well, that he has lost control, but I don't know if I can keep him in my life. I don't agree with the mom. That's not right. If you want to still be in love with this man who has an addiction, that's perfectly fine with you, but you shouldn't be trying to manipulate your child to still have a relationship with their father when they have stolen from them, lied to them, gaslighted them, manipulated them, mistreated them, and put them in this situation. You could have a family dinner with just y'all two, but I don't think she should be trying to convince OP to still have a relationship. That's not right. OP said he used me and manipulated me. I feel less like his child and more like his walking bank account. He broke our family, and even if it is because he's sick, I don't know if I can put it past me. I know that it would destroy my mom to cut my dad out of my life. I know you guys said I'm not the a-hole in my last post, but I still feel like one. I might add more later as I have to go to work. Edit, adding some details I forgot about in a rush to go to work. One of the reasons that my mom is going to do these dinners is to give my dad a reason to get help. I disagree, but I digress. They say, I honestly don't think that will work. First, my father is rarely with us or does stuff when he lives with us. I doubt he will go. Second, if the looming threat of divorce didn't kick him into gear, I don't think weekly dinners will. I have a really good relationship with my mom, so I do want to go to those dinners to spend time with her, but I don't know if I can face my dad if he decides to come. My mom wants me to have a good relationship with my dad, which is why she doesn't want me to go no contact with him. Also, some of it is likely her guilt for the situation and the fact I tend to be the person she goes to for help. Also, a lot of you have been confused by the me being responsible for their divorce. Like I said, it was an update to a post that I had made previously. If you want all the information, go look at that post. But the rundown is, I woke up and saw that someone stole my money. I told my mom and she figured out it was my dad. My mom realized she needs to divorce my dad due to him lying about what happened. My mom has never told me that any of this was my fault. It was how I was feeling in the moment. I have since gotten over that guilt. Many of you have said that I should try to get the money back from my dad. I'm not sure. I made peace not getting the money back. I'm not going to take him to court. My life is already crazy without worrying about court and my dad's gambling addiction. Not to mention, I really don't have proof that I could show the court as I just gave the money to my mom. I never made any comments digitally about what the money is for, so it will absolutely fall apart and become a he said, they said. And honestly, I don't want to deal with it. I just want to move past this. Oh, child, that is just sad. And I don't know, I'm putting a little bit of the blame on the mom too, because you knew. Yeah. Anyway, update 3. So I, non-binary, 20, live in my own apartment with my sister, 20, and roommate, male, 19. We moved in about 2 weeks ago. Due to events in one of my previous posts, me and her are the only ones in my family not homeless. My dad has been living in his car and staying in hotels when able. My dad has recently been hospitalized for a multitude of reasons. No, I won't go into detail. He is going to be released. Some of the medical advice that is going to be given to my dad, he can't follow due to being homeless. My parents haven't mentioned the fact that my dad is homeless or that they are in the middle of a divorce to the hospital. My mom is scared of what that would mean for him. My mom has asked me to talk to my roommates to see how they feel about my dad living with us temporarily. I agreed to, but I honestly don't want to have him. Whew, child. Okay. See, I knew. The mom finna push herself into a no contact situation because no, that's part of the reason why we're here. Because you kept giving him chances and trying to coddle him and make excuses for him and make the situation better for him. No, your main concern should be your 3 kids that you had by this man. That should be your main concern. If he has nowhere to go, he's not finna go live with his kid who he stole thousands of dollars from and gambled away. Are you crazy? How does that even compute? Like, how is it making sense? If there's no other person he can stay with, obviously that means he's a terrible person. There's other reasons, but in this case, I have no words. He would absolutely not be coming to stay with me. I would be so pissed that she even fixed her mouth to request that that man come stay with me. Then they agreed to it? No. This is pissing me off. Okay, they said this might be selfish, but he would be in my room due to the fact he works at night. He won't do my sister's room because her room is hyper feminine and is only separated by a curtain from the living room. As I am the one with an actual room, he would be sleeping in my room. No! No! Why y'all making this situation comfortable for him? If it were me, I'd give him a place to park, okay? You can pay me so and so dollars a month to park, and you stay in your car. You stay living in your car. I do not care. You can come inside to use the restroom, to take a shower, maybe to cook yourself, but your car would be your room. I don't know. This is stressing me. This is stressing me. They say our schedules are pretty reversed, so we would never see each other except on my days off, but I really hate this idea. In our previous house, I had to share my room with my mom because of her working from home. This meant that whenever someone feels like it, they would barge into my room. I finally have my own space that no one could barge into, and not even 2 weeks later, it might be stripped from me. Not to mention, I am currently searching for another job, due to the fact that I have moved to another city and no longer want to commute 3 hours each way, and I have a couple of phone interviews lined up for my days off, and I can't go into the living room due to my roommates also having those days off, and I don't like talking on the phone in public. My dad has also not acknowledged that he has done anything wrong. I am also still pissed at him. He can't go with my mom and other sister due to my maternal grandparents hating his guts at the moment. He can't ask any of his family due to the fact that they are harmful, and he doesn't want to admit how bad his situation has gotten. So this just leaves me and my sister. My dad already doesn't like our roommate due to sexism and toxic masculinity. I don't think he will act any way that will show it, but I really don't want to place him in a situation where he might have to deal with that. I have yet to tell my roommates, as they had already left when my mom asked, and I don't want to ruin their event or have this conversation over text. I'm very tempted to lay out all the reasons it would be a bad idea for them, so they agree that we can't do it, so I'm not the a-hole, but I don't like the idea of manipulating them. My mom said my dad probably won't accept the offer, but I'm not sure I can make the offer. Also, hotels are not an option due to the fact none of us have the money for them, and my dad will likely be paying off this trip for a while. I honestly feel like either way I'm screwed, so am I the a-hole? Someone said this sounds way too big for Reddit to solve. OP responded, unfortunately, Reddit is my only solution because I have no one to talk to about this situation. No, it is not too big for Reddit to solve. At his big age, he needs to figure it out. No, you're not coming to stay with me. You need to figure it out. You're the one that got us into this situation and got yourself into the situation you're in. You need to get yourself out of it. I don't care. No. And you're not finna inconvenience my roommates and myself. And it sounds like he probably could ask his family, but he's too ashamed, to go to them for help. So it falls, no. This better be a happy update, because when I tell you, this is stressing me. Update number 4, posted 3 to 4 months later. So yesterday was my dad's birthday, male 60. I, non-binary 20, have been pretty much no contact with him since my last post about him, only really seeing him here and there. My dad has reached out to me once, but I didn't respond. Never once has he apologized for what he has done. For the past week, I had been debating if I should send him the above text. No matter what I decided, I wasn't going to get him anything after all the money he took from me. Then, on Wednesday, my phone got stolen. I spent most of Wednesday and yesterday trying to find it and come up with solutions so that I can do all the things I need to do. I thought that was the answer to texting my dad. Yesterday, I got a new phone and was talking to my mom. She texts me that I need to send my dad a text. She always reminds me to send birthday and holiday texts, as I'm notorious for forgetting to. I said I will later, as I still hadn't decided if I was going to. She then told me that she gave my dad $20 for me. I was shocked. She said all my siblings agreed to send him $20 for a hotel room. We all know he will probably gamble it away. I had never agreed due to my stolen phone. I was pretty much out of contact, but I had still talked to her through my roommates. She also could have waited and asked if I was okay with it, which I would have said no. I don't think my mom will ask for the 20. She just seemed to do it in my name. Regardless, I was pissed. So I didn't text my dad because I wanted to make sure he was aware that I hadn't forgiven him and that we don't have a relationship anymore. I also did it to spite my mom for putting my name on a gift I never agreed to. I was so sure of it yesterday, but now I think I might have just been petty. Am I the a-hole? I think you guys know how I feel, and I just have no additional commentary. So that last update was in October. I'm going to check that was October 2023. I'm sure they probably have updates since then. Oh, they don't? Oh, well, that's surprising. I figured there would be an update. Well, shoot. Listen, OP, you stand your ground, okay? If the mom has to be threatened with low contact for her to respect your boundaries and your wishes, that might just have to be what it is. But it sounds to me like there needs to be some very strict boundaries in place in this situation. It sounds to me like you're used to being the scapegoat and the one who helps everyone out when things go wrong, and maybe you have a hard time saying no. But I hope and pray that that word has been a significant part of your vocabulary since you posted this, because this is just ridiculous. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next post. Like I said, this does have updates. It is a little bit shorter though. So it says, am I the a-hole for not supporting my wife's decision to punish our son and letting him go to a party that will be tonight? This is a throwaway, but this involves some absolute high school drama nonsense that someone my age shouldn't have to deal with, but maybe I'm tripping and missing something, so here I am. I, 45 male, share a daughter, 17 female, and son, 15 male, with my wife, 41 female. My wife's best friend, 40 female, has two daughters, 18 and 15. My wife's best friend moved to our town about 6 years ago. My wife and her best friend have been not so subtly pulling for the two 15-year-olds to end up together. I find this weird and low-key creepy. About 2 years ago, wife's best friend's youngest daughter appeared to have developed a crush on our son. My son talked to me about it and had zero interest, so we discussed how to tactfully but firmly let her down. She has approached him again a number of times over the last couple of years, and he has reaffirmed his lack of interest. So basically, if all of those things got confusing, the wife's best friend's 15-year-old and then OP's 15-year-old, they trying to get them to be together, the wife and her best friend. The 15-year-old boy, he has no interest in the 15-year-old girl, and she keeps trying over the last couple of years to approach him, and he's still not interested. So OP says, this past summer, my wife's best friend's oldest daughter turned 18. Her parents went all out for her birthday. It was a whole weekend of festivities and events. One of the events was a couple's dinner for the oldest daughter and all her friends who are in couples. The youngest daughter of wife's best friend wanted to go to the dinner but did not have anyone to go with. She asked my son, and he agreed to go, but only as friends and just this one time. So they went together. After the dinner, the couples all watched 10 Things I Hate About You together. It was my son's first time seeing it, and he commented that he thought the Heath Ledger singing scene was cool. This is important later. My business partner, 44 male, every year for the last 5 years throws a huge Halloween party. All of our employees are invited along with close friends and family. The party requires a costume. And at this party, there are prizes for best individual costumes, group costume, and couples costume. My wife's best friend and her family are obviously invited every year. This year, the Halloween party is tonight, October 26th. So, let me get to the reason I am here. About a month ago, my son is at school and comes towards him is my wife's best friend's younger daughter with a whole song and dance routine. She ends it by asking him to be her date for the Halloween party. Oh, just give it a rest, girl. How many times does a man have to tell you no? a boy, because y'all just kids. How many times does a male have to tell you no? Opie says, my son was so frustrated and reiterated for everyone to hear that he is not interested in her like that at all. Of course, it being high school, some kids laughed and she ran off crying. She has been bullied pretty badly because of it. Listen, that is sad. That is a sad and unintended consequence. At the same time, why did you think this was a good idea? For at least 2 years, this young man has rejected you. And in response, you decide to put together a song and dance routine and perform it in front of a crowd of people. To me, that sounds manipulative because you knew he would say no. He'd been saying no for 2 years. You knew he would say no. So were you trying to manipulate him into saying yes because it was in front of an audience? So you thought he would feel pressured to say yes? I don't wish bullying on anyone, especially not kids, because I feel like it's just worse with kids. Like, it's like the end of the world for them. At the same time, I mean, what is there to do at this point? I don't know. Opie said, my wife's best friend is livid and thinks our son owes her daughter an apology. My wife agrees and thinks at minimum he needs to defend her against the bullying. I would agree with that. I would agree with defending her against bullying. No one should be bullied. I wouldn't agree with acquiescing to her request that he has denied for the past couple years. Opie said, my son has said that for 2 years, he has told her he is not interested and reiterated it over and over. At this point, he thinks it's kind of harassing to him, and it is not his role to defend her harassment of him. I agree with my son. My wife and I have had a number of disagreements about it since it happened. Well, things have intensified in the last couple of weeks or so because another girl, who wife's best friend's daughter apparently does not like, asked our son to be her date for the party and he agreed. They are doing a pretty dope couple's costume. This has really pissed off my wife because she thinks he should at least not go to the party with another girl out of respect. I think that is ridiculous. I plan on driving them to the party with me. My wife now does not want to go to the party and is saying I am an a-hole and raising our son to be one. So, am I the a-hole? Absolutely not. And it sounds like the wife needs some therapy or something because at your big age, ma'am, 41, you're acting like this? Come on now. And why aren't you on your son's side? He's been harassed by this girl for 2 years and keeps saying no. Make it make sense. Update 19 days later. So this is after the Halloween party, child. OP says, given the events of the past couple of weeks, I thought I would give an update. My wife did not come to the Halloween party. I took my son and his friend and they had a great time. Unfortunately, they only came in 4th in the couple's costume voting. After the party, tensions with my wife died down considerably. She still felt what I did was wrong, but she took a what is done attitude. The bullying at school has gotten more intense. Apparently, my wife's best friend's daughter confronted the girl who my son did take to the Halloween party. Oh my gosh. I just can't help but to think that the wife's best friend is at home telling her daughter, you just have to, no, he'll come around. Because how is it that a 15-year-old is so brazen in doing the things that she's doing? She barely been on this earth. 15 years? I mean, they know things. They know it's a teenager. It's a human. At the same time, they're still in that development stage. And I just imagine that the mom is feeding things into her ear that is causing her to act out like this. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So she confronted the girl. Opie said that escalated the bullying from other girls, and 2 factions have formed among the girls in 2 grades over this, and it has gotten out of hand. Apparently, some accusations have been thrown around about cheating at my son by various girls. My son has been unbothered because all his truly good friends know the truth. Last Friday, we got a call from the school wanting to meet with us about the situation since my son was the source, their words, not mine, of the issues. We met with some of the administration and one of the teachers on Tuesday. They wanted my son to help the situation by defending my wife's best friend's daughter to their classmates. He refused and talked extensively about her harassing behavior over the past 2 years. They pushed against his description of her conduct, but we ended the meeting with my son promising to provide a list of her harassment over the past 2 years. And the fact that he even has to do that for them to believe him, the fact that he's the one, this is messed up. This is messed up. The fact that this young man is the one that is having to put in the work of making the situation better when it is something that was done to him. There's literally nothing he did here wrong. This is all done to him, but now he has to be the one to clean it up. This is just, why did I pick these stories today? Tuesday evening, my son prepared the list and showed his mother and I. When my wife saw the list, it was like scales fell from her eyes. She got pretty emotional, apologized to our son, apologized to me, and we had a good group hug. She is now 100% on our side. Finally, yeah. She asked our son if she could share the list with her best friend. My son agreed. My wife's best friend's response was to double down. My wife is going low contact for the time being. On Wednesday, we took the list to the school. It is a private school and has a strict code of conduct for students in and out of school. So there is a possibility that best friend's daughter may have some type of punishment for her behavior. I took my son out of school for the day and we hung out all day. I just dropped him back off at school today, so this is the update. Edit, I wanted to add something I said in the comments. My mom for years was a counselor. One thing she taught me is that repentance and forgiveness are not events, but processes. Also, that in order for a relationship to be restored, there must first be repentance from the wrongdoer. In light of that, a practice she had our family do was to write letters when one of us caused harm to another. The letter includes in detail 1, the wrong the person has committed, 2, the resulting harm that was done, 3, the immediate actions that will be taken to mitigate the harm, and 4, the long-term actions being taken to mitigate the harm and ensure the action is not repeated. My wife is currently working on her letter. The person who receives the letter can respond and request that additional actions be taken to address the harm done. My wife knows she is only at the beginning of the process and that it is going to take time. That sounds like a good practice to implement. So then there's a short update, January 19th, 2025. This was about 2.5 months later. This will be the final update. After everything that went on with the school last semester, my wife's best friend decided to remove her daughter from school, and she is now going to the local public school. But a week ago, my son received an email from the daughter apologizing for everything that occurred last semester and asking for them to remain friends. Apparently, her dad finally sat her down and explained how everything she did would look from a guy's perspective. My son wrote back and said, while he accepted the apology, he thinks it's best that he keep his distance. He wished her luck at the new school. My wife's best friend still insists that my son should apologize to her daughter. My wife has said in no uncertain terms, that ish ain't happening. A few more kids were disciplined by the school since my last post, but things have calmed down on that front. We are doing family counseling and it has been going well. That is all. This is the final update. Well, that is dandy. And yeah, there's nothing else. So with that being said, we'll go to the palate cleanser. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And here it is. So I thought this video was so precious. It's like an old video. Yeah, this is like 4 years ago, back when everyone was doing their classes on Zoom. This was like the height of the pandemic. And the title is Chapman University Students Surprise Professor in Heartwarming Video. So I think this was like their last day of class or something. So they give him a little surprise. Let me play it.
And finally this morning, some students at Chapman University have created a viral sensation for what they did for a beloved professor during a Zoom of their last regular class of the semester.
I don't see anybody with their camera on. It's just kind of the new cool thing to do, not turn your camera on.
So for anyone who's not watching, there's a screen share of the Zoom, and basically everyone on the call has their camera off. But you know, like during those classes back then, it was kind of the requirement that everyone have their camera off. So the professor is kind of confused as to what's going on.
Seriously? Is it my fault that you have your cameras off?
So Dr. Brown, we actually kind of wanted to do something.
With your cameras off?
Everybody, if you want to go ahead.
Confused.
Oh, you guys. Oh, you're going to make...
So now everyone has turned their camera off and turned their camera on, and every single person on the Zoom has a handwritten sign that they're holding up to their camera. And it all says like, thank you, Dr. Brown. Thank you for a great semester. We love you, Dr. B. It's just like all these heartwarming handwritten messages that they're all holding up to their screens.
Make me cry. I'm reading each one.
And then he starts crying. Oh, that's just so sweet, man. I love when kids like have teachers that they really appreciate. Cause one, it like speaks to like the kids themselves. Cause I feel like kids these days get a bad rap, but also it speaks to the teacher and how good of a teacher that he is for them to even want to do this. Anyways, so that will do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.